It's about to get Gabby AF.
We about to get Gabby AF, Gabby AF. We about to get Gabby AF, Gabby AF. It's nothing less, cause you rocking with the best.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Gabby AF. I am your host, Gabby LaSpisa. And, you know, it's only week 3, but I'm trying to give the people what they want. And I have another fantastic guest who I'm honored to be joined by today. And it is no other than WWE superstar, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. So without further ado, Cody, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be part of this initial wave of guests that you're going to have and continue to have, and wish you much success in the future of this podcast.
Wow, that's a pretty big compliment coming from you. I appreciate the support that you've always given me. And I mean, before we even get started, I know there's a lot to talk about. You are a man to talk about a lot of things with in the pro wrestling world right now. But like, first off, it's been a long time. How's life treating you? How the hell are you, my friend?
I very, people say blessed, charmed. I'll say this about having a young kiddo. Libby's, Liberty is 2.5 at this point, and one of the great byproducts of being a first-time parent is you wake up really early, and it makes my days at home the absolute best. Like I can get anything done. I have all the time in the world, whereas I called it Mayweather time back in the day. I'd sleep till like 2 p.m. when I would come off the road. Now it's just up first thing in the morning as the sun comes up, and it's a whole thing. Life is very, very good. I can't there's very few things that I'm wanting. It's a great time.
Well, that's amazing to hear. And it's kind of funny you saying like, oh, I get up early. That's actually my nightmare. So it's probably good I don't have a 2.5-year-old that I
What's your regular, what time you get up?
So it depends. I've been working out a lot recently. So I'm up at 9, 10 a.m. to do a workout first thing in the morning because, well, besides the podcast, I'm basically unemployed. So it's kind of nice. I could kind of fill my day with whatever I want. But, I got to hang out with the dog. I take the dog for the long walk in the morning. Got to feed the dog right away. Yeah. I just actually fostered a dog because I was like, I should give back. And while I have the time, like foster another dog, which it was a beautiful thing, but it was also the hardest thing in my life because he got adopted and I sobbed for like the entire day because I loved him so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my day is basically, like 9, 10 a.m., which isn't too late, I would say. But if I'm out the night before, it's maybe noon, which...
What are you doing these nights before? Like at this point, because what is going out consist of? As someone, I never went out. I think I probably walked into 2 bars in my whole life.
Really?
I've never gone to a club unless I was invited, and there was the Hakkasan in Vegas. I walked right in. The ground was shaking as the DJ rose up from the floor with a giant space helmet on. I walked right back out. It seemed like people were having a great time. Wasn't for me. Yeah. But what does going out look like?
So I'm more of, there's 2 people, right? There's the club people, there's the bar people. I'm definitely more of a bar person. I'm not like a club girl per se. I don't like the EDM, like headbanging music, which is weird because I'm from Jersey. You would think I like that because, everyone thinks girls from Jersey are ratchet and we're just like crazy. But
old school word right there, ratchet. Been a minute.
Listen, I'm old school, Cody. All right. I'm an old school chick. That's what it is. But yeah, ratchet. I mean, and we get that reputation, I think, because of the Jersey Shore and all those kinds of things. But yeah, I like a good bar. I love sports. A good sports bar on like a Sunday. That's like my favorite thing. And how I know I'm getting older? I'm more of like a day drinker than I am like a night drinker because I want to be in bed by like 8 o'clock. And it's the perfect thing. You just drink all day and then you're in bed at 8 o'clock. You wake up in the morning. You're like, wow, I got like 8 hours of sleep because I was in bed before the crazies come out at like 2 o'clock in the morning. I've had those nights, but
Do you know what my dream is when it comes to, you mentioned a sports bar, and this is what my long running dream, and Brandy can attest to this because I brought it up multiple times and I've never done it. because I haven't had as many opportunities just to kind of sit still for a second.
Right.
But my dream was to go to Caesar's Palace, the sports book area they have, which
Okay.
looks kind of like a theater. There's all these comfortable seats. They're bringing food over. There's a menu. There's a bazillion different TVs that you can bet on. All this stuff is right there. My dream is to just sit there all day, like in real, like generic white people clothes, like a Tommy Bahama shirt and like the khaki shorts and several cigars, and literally bet on things that I have no knowledge of, and just not major bets, not losing, but just be there all day to see that. That has been one of my long running dreams. I've yet to do it, but I'd take 4 hours. 4 hours would just be ideal. But yeah, every time I walk by those at different casinos and stuff, I want to be there, because as I've gotten older, I've gotten into sports that I don't know about.
Right.
It used to be, hey, college football is all I care about. College football. Now I'm watching every different sports analytics, sports analysis show, and I know things that I don't need to know. But that's why I'm ready for my dream. I'm ready for when it comes. I'm ready.
Well, so
I have kind of a deep cut for you too. This is I feel you're gonna. I don't know. I don't want to put you on the spot. I had a buddy who's going to remain nameless. He probably won't be nameless because I have like 2 actual buddies in my whole life. But he had a documentary about him that was filmed in New Jersey.
Okay.
And he went to a tanning bed that you worked at.
Oh, I know who it is already, but keep going.
And he really wanted you to be part of the shoot. But I believe probably at the time, smartly, you said, yeah, no way. You can film him, but not me. And is this accurate? Did this happen?
So it's funny how stories are told differently, because
Sure.
I remember this story because he came in and he was extremely, I would say arrogant is the word I would use.
Oh yeah.
Very nice towards me. He kind of treated me like a worker at a tanning salon. Fun fact, I worked at a tanning salon for 3 to 4 years, just for the listeners, before I found myself in the world of pro wrestling. But yeah, he was not very nice to me at all. And then he made it like it would be his gift to put me into his documentary. It was going to be huge, and he was going to be huge. And he's like, really? Like, you don't want to be part of what I'm doing? Okay. Like, I was not the brightest bulb in the shed, which, listen, I could have, if I wanted to, put him in that tanning room and made him any color I really wanted, as dark as I wanted.
True.
I could have come out as an Oompa Loompa if I was that kind of person. I'm not, Cody. No. I'm a nice person. So I gave him, he got a great spray tan, but it has haunted his and I's relationship because I can't not speak to him talking about that time. And he's not like that anymore. He's very nice to me now, which is nice.
Yeah.
But we talk about it always. And that's hilarious that you also know that story, because I didn't know you knew that. But
oh yeah, I know. And then the reason I think I know the story is because I have like a group chat with some various other wrestlers, and we talk about tanning all the time. So, like Versus Spa, Norvell, the Mystic Booth, and now at different like Palm Beaches, you get all these additives. Like, it's not something you should be educated about, but in our business, you should actually. Okay, here's all the things. And at the camps for the Nightmare Factory, the last 2 weeks, I always tell the kids, some of these guys have never taken their shirt off. They've never had wrestling gear on. I'm always like, hey, it may sound weird, but do you have any questions about tanning?
Yeah.
Or, like aesthetics? And no one ever asks. And then they're out there super milk dud style. Like they just like
orange.
Yes. Yeah. Or they did the day of, or they did the mitt. Something that just very risky. But yeah. So I feel like I've become an expert in the field of the spray tan.
That's amazing, because I have watched, there's one in particular that I've seen on TV a lot, and his spray is so bad all the time. And I watch and I'm like, oh my God, like, how is no one telling him? How is he watching his matches back, not being like, in what world am I that shade? And is that like not okay? Because it's not okay. And as someone who's worked at a tanning salon so long, I'm like, maybe I should give tanning seminars to wrestlers and be like, this is what you should do. Maybe that's my calling now that we talk about it, because my tan is always on point. I actually get compliments about my tan all the time. So I feel like that maybe I should educate wrestlers on tanning. I mean, you're doing the Lord's work by letting them know, but maybe that's my calling, Cody.
Here's the trick with this individual that we're talking about, which are his hands the big giveaway? Are his hands, or is it like a combination of things?
It's the shade. Like, I don't know what spray tan he's doing.
So there's a yellow. So there's a 1995 WCW show where Hogan is doing a promo. It's pre-NWO, pre-Hollywood, and he is so ridiculously dark. It's in the wrestling and sports entertainment space, it somehow fits. In civilian life, you would be so confused as to why he's that tan or she's that tan. And that shade, though, as silly as it is what a lot of, like Matt Cardona. Matt Cardona, for example, wants to be that dark.
Yeah.
That's so it's sometimes it's just it may not look good, but to him it may look like $1 million.
Yeah, he needs help.
That may be what he wants.
I don't want to start any trouble, but he needs help with his tan. Maybe I got to talk to Chelsea about it or something, because
Matt needs help with his tan.
Yes.
Matt's
a lot.
It can get him pretty intense. It can get intense.
When you wrestle people with those kinds of tans, are you like, don't get shit on my gear? Like, you're all like, because he did it that morning, and that's why it's that dark, because people don't realize you're supposed to shower it off the next day, that residue of the orange. I don't think he does. I think he just wrestles in it, and he's sticky, and it gets everywhere.
Well, I'm not going to say I'm talking about Matt Cardona, so we'll just say a person I wrestled once when I was Stardust still. Had it wasn't tan. This individual who isn't Matt Cardona, he had topics in his hair that adds some hair fibers to it, that if you've got a little spot or something, it helps it, a little bit. I don't know. But this individual fell to the mat, and there was this big, like, kind of greasy black spot. Okay. And when we came back through Gorilla, I got chastised. I got scolded because we can't have Stardust out there if the paint on his face isn't dry. Look at the mat. We've had to change the canvas. And changing a canvas at a show, especially when I was on the executive side of the thing, I learned how much those canvases cost, how difficult they are to change, how many you need for a show. So yeah, they put all the heat on me for an individual who was, protecting his baldness. And I kept the ruse up.
Wow.
I said sorry. Yeah.
Wow. What a good guy you are, Cody. You took the fall for that. Like that. Now, if I didn't respect you as much as I did before, I respect you even more for that, because that's some bullshit.
Wrestling 101 is always put the heat on yourself. Wow. Always. Because there are guys who will come through the curtain before their opponent or something like that, and they'll start in on something that might have gone wrong or what happened, this and that. And that's what it looks like is you're making excuses, versus if there's ever something that needs to be discussed, I usually start by putting the heat on myself. Was I not in the right spot? I usually, because then somebody will figure it out. Plus, all of us watching already know what happened.
Right.
We already know, except for in this one incident with the topic and the bald individual. But yeah, put the heat on yourself. That way nobody else. Who
that is after we record, because I really want to know. And I'll keep it between us. I promise. I have a podcast, but I won't talk about it next week. I swear. I feel like, this tanning topic, I could talk to you about an hour about it, because I did not see the interview going this way, but it's amazing. But I guess we should, I guess we could talk a little wrestling now, because there are some things happening. You've been pretty busy. You just, thank God, I watched Crown Jewel on Saturday. So beat the crap out of Damian Priest, which made me happy, because he just annoys me a lot. Like, I don't, and the Dirty Dom coming out trying to distract. Like, it's just enough. Like, Judgment Day to me is like on Raw. We've had enough of it. I'm ready for them to lose the tag titles. I'm ready for you and Jay to regain those. So let's start with Saturday before we get into all of that. How was the atmosphere at Crown Jewel? How did it feel to defeat the annoying Damian Priest that we all know, hate, and love at the same time?
I'll say this was my first time in Riyadh. The last time I was in Saudi, I was in Jeddah, and it was all new to me at that point. I remember the press conference for the first time I had done a show in Saudi was really eye-opening, whereas the crowd, I didn't know what type of crowd they are. You know, crowds are different all over, worldwide, and just we're in Germany experiencing that, the UK, all this. But they started singing Kingdom. They started singing the lyrics, and they were the type to sing the entire song versus just the one part that most people will sing. And it was really uplifting in a sense, like, oh, they're watching. Because I think initially when these shows started, and I wasn't with WWE at the time, but it seemed like they didn't have the current product. It seemed like they wanted WWE and almost like they wanted like WWF nostalgia. And now they're very attuned to everything. I did a small meet and greet right before the show, and all these little kiddos just saying yeet, talking about what they wanted to see that night, talking about people's finishing moves. It's really nice to see a market, you know, from a business perspective, a market develop that way. It means that the next time we go, they're even more attuned to it. And the next time we go, they're even more. And that's just, we got to continue to service that, just because as a fan base, I was really uplifted and surprised. And then going into the match, I feel like I want to give credit. I know you referred to him as annoying and there's a love-hate. I want to give credit to Damian Priest, not for anything he's done recently. I want to give him credit because I wrestled him at Ring of Honor during the Ring of Honor kind of renaissance that me and Matt and Nick and we had rolling there. And he's a completely different individual. And to me, that's a sign of a true pro is, are you better tomorrow than you were today? And fans aren't always the most patient, but then also they're the most loyal. So as long as you continue to improve, you can attach to them at some point. And I feel like he has a very large future, not just because the briefcase is in hand, but just looking back at what he did with Bad Bunny at Backlash as well. I feel like he has a large future. He's not across from me. Not going to happen. But he's definitely a big player for WWE.
Yeah, I mean, you're a better person than me, so you said something nice. I probably should say something nice about him, but I'm
say something nice. That's again, I'll go back to my group chat. That's the thing we have. We all, you know, group chats are mainly you burying somebody, making jokes about people.
Oh, yeah.
So whenever that goes too far, I usually say, hey, let's say something nice. So we have to say something nice.
I can't completely hate him because he's a New Yorker. So you have to have for a New Yorker. That's why he's got the fight that he has in him. And I will say, because, you know, they're a different kind of breed, New Yorkers. I was technically born in New York, but I'm identify as a Jersey girl, which is why I am the way that I am. So
are you a Yankees fan?
No, I'm actually a Mets fan.
Wow.
Because I was born in Brooklyn. So I feel like it's a little more, you know, Yankees are like it's actually unfortunate that I'm a Mets fan because we haven't been good in a while, but I'm a big Rangers fan.
You share that with, and you should try and get him on the podcast, Brian Gewirtz, who's
love him. He's so nice. Yes.
Yeah, he's a big, I believe he's one of the big, I'm not trying to knock on the Mets, but it's easier to find the Mets fans because Yankees fans are everywhere. There's a lot of,
that's true.
Yankees fans seems like a bigger fandom than Mets fandom.
Yeah.
But yeah, Brian, and he's doing all that stuff with $7 and The Rock and everything. He'd be great for this.
I feel like it's grittier to be a Mets fan and it's more classy to be a Yankees fan, if that makes sense. And I don't mean to say that for my Mets fans that I love, but we're gritty. Like, you tell me you're a Mets fan, you've been through some shit, and probably with Yankees too, but it's more of like girls, when I meet girls and they're wearing like cute little Yankees hats, I'm like, you don't really care about the Yankees, but like, it's cool to be a Yankees fan because you want to go to the baseball game, like meet guys that like baseball, you know?
Well, but also that Yankees logo, and the Yankees are through history kind of a standard of excellence.
Yes.
They've had their ups and downs, and they've had bad seasons and good seasons, but my family, I'm not really into baseball. I'll watch the Braves because I grew up here. I will watch the Yankees, but my family is hardcore Yankees fans.
Wow.
They're from, Tampa, little Yankee stadiums there in Tampa. They see all the Yankees out and about. They all got to know each other, especially like in the 80s and 70s, in Dream's heyday. So Yankees are a real big deal in my family, my sister and my dad, and they're just that was a big, watching the postseason every year, for better or for worse. That was big. I'd kind of ruin it because I'd come in and look at everything. I was a very nerdy kid. I was mainly sci-fi and stuff like that. I wasn't into sports as a kid.
Crazy.
And I'd kind of ruin it whenever I'd sit down and watch like the Red Sox versus the Yankee series and not understand why there's heat, why Don Zimmer's getting thrown down by the pitcher, why the benches are clearing. But yeah, no, we're Yankees people. But I wouldn't hang my hat on it. So the one team I 100%, and this is a different sport, different realm. The one team I hang my hat on is the Georgia Bulldogs, the UGA.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. See, I went to Penn State, so I'm a Penn State fan. So we don't really have to hate each other because we're not even, kind of.
I almost went to Penn State. My mom to this day is upset that I did not.
Oh, we could have been like alumni together.
Yeah, I got a small. It was very unique for someone from the South to get a wrestling scholarship because competition in the South is not super strong. It's getting stronger though, and the Northeast and Midwest, it's very, very strong. And to be able to get an opportunity to go there, but I had other plans, which they've led me here, so I can't complain.
Pretty good plans. They ended up being pretty good, I don't mind Georgia because their logo is a big G. So for me, it's kind of like a win. Like it could be for Gabby, could be like, I kind of like that. I think G is the best letter in the alphabet. So
Green Bay is the same way, right?
I'm actually a Packers fan, which is a fun fact about me that people are like, are you Jets or Giants? And I'm like, actually, I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, not because of the G. It's something with my dad is why I'm a Packers fan. It's actually a nice story. But do you have are you NFL? Like, do you care about do you have a team?
Okay. I'll walk you through my NFL experience, right? And this might shockingly be controversial, what I'm going to say. And I don't intend it to be. It's just growing up how I did. Okay. I grew up a Cowboys fan because my dad was from Texas and my sister wanted to cheer for the Cowboys. She tried out, didn't make it. She tried out, she didn't make it. She tried out, finally, she made it. So she was a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader for 2 seasons. We went to a game, got to see it all. It was a really special thing. However, I was always in Georgia. So the Falcons were my friends' favorite teams. So Jamal Anderson and that crew, they go to the Super Bowl. They're doing the Dirty Bird, the whole dance, the whole thing, and they lose. No big deal. Hey, we'll bounce back. Didn't really bounce back. Then Michael Vick comes to Atlanta. Season tickets sell out for 2 years in a row. I got season tickets. I had a Vick jersey. I was all about it. That obviously just blew up in a cataclysmic this is the controversial part, a sports world. Because of that, it kind of left a taste in my mouth that I never really, like when Matty Ice and everything, when they went to the Super Bowl against Tom, I never really was in again. And what's happened is my NFL loyalty is up for grabs, really is up for grabs. And I'll tell you who the team that's got it this year is the Philadelphia Eagles. And here's why. They're the Eagles. They're a great franchise. But I went to do the media day for WrestleMania 40 at the stadium. These stadiums are, this is the prime location for a massive billions of dollar franchise. And to let me just, you can walk on the field. Oh yeah, do your interview over there. We're so excited to have WrestleMania here. Do whatever you want. The warmth in which they welcomed me, and then on the way out gave me a full bag of stuff for my daughter, jersey for me. It got me hook, line, and sinker. Got me. And it's very fair weather. I moved quickly. I was with the Jags a few seasons ago. I was all about Jags life, everything like that, hosting draft parties. But just I'm hoping the Eagles have a great season, go to the Super Bowl, finish their story, because they've been my team this year. But I like a lot of NFL teams, but the Eagles got me this year.
Cody, I've never been more upset about anything you've said because so I went to Penn State. That's what we talk about. I say this to the day I die, and this is a very controversial take. I think that the Eagles fan base is my least favorite fan base of any team in any sport because they are the most obnoxious, rude, crazy fan base, like of anything. It's my red flag in a man. Like if I'm single, if I meet a guy, he's perfect, and he's like, I'm an Eagles fan, automatically out. I don't even care. You don't even have to speak another word to me. I've dated Eagles fans before. Most insane experiences of my life. I'll never do it again. It doesn't matter who you are.
Wow.
It's probably my biggest red flag. You ask any of my friends, they'll be like, Gabby, I met this guy, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, he sounds great. Yeah, he's an Eagles fan. I'm like, run for your life, because they are, to me, the worst fan base ever. They were nice to you. Yeah, you're Cody Rhodes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would walk into that stadium as a nobody and they would haze me. If I'm not wearing Eagles shit, I'm not part of their team, I would get my ass kicked. I'd walk, like, I'm going to the Eagles 49ers game. I believe it's December.
Yeah.
And my best friend works for the 49ers, so I'm going to that game. But I'm like, I can't even wear Niner stuff because people will try to fight me. And I'm from New Jersey. Like, I don't start fights, but I also can't like back down from one if I'm in that position. I've never gotten into a fist fight before, but I grew up with brothers. I think I'd be fine.
I want to follow up on the fist fight thing, but okay. I will say this. I for the 49ers game, I have to kind of sit back because I'm a huge George Kittle fan. George Kittle he loves sports entertainment. He was at Raw the other night. He loves wrestling. He's a big Pentagon fan. Like he took a photo actually of me greeting my family at WrestleMania because I looked in the photos and saw, oh, George Kittle is like right behind my family and his teammates. And he took this really great photo, which is always silly to me that this future Hall of Famer snapped a cell phone shot of me saying hi to my fam at WrestleMania 39. So that one I sit out on. Just because I like him a lot. He's a star. Oh, fist fight. You never been in a fist fight?
Never.
So okay.
Have you?
I ask this question a lot of our students.
Okay.
Because when we're talking about punches or forearms or how to defend yourself in general, I was in a lot of fights as a kid, and I'll be really honest with you. Almost every fight I got into about like elementary school and middle school, when the fights started getting a little more wild, were about pro wrestling. Because people would make fun of it, or they'd make fun of my brother, at the time, like Gold Dust was happening, and I'd swing for the fences on it. But I got to be frank, I lost every fist fight I was in from, I want to say 3rd grade was the first time it happened, to 8th grade. I have lost every fist fight that I was ever in, to the point where I wanted to become a better amateur wrestler so that if I ever did get into this situation again, I could be like, all right, I know how to defend myself. And I dumped all my energy into that, which is what almost led me to go to Penn State, but
wow.
I didn't go. Yeah.
That's interesting. I would not have guessed that you would ever have lost a fist fight because
lost them all.
You're Cody Rhodes. And like, here's the thing. I grew up with 2 older brothers. That's all I have. So even though I haven't been physically in a fight, I've gotten my ass beat like all the time because like you can't not have a tough skin growing up with brothers. Like I was just thrown into the walls, like, like ridiculous.
Have you been hit on the jaw or in the ear?
Yeah. I've been hit on the jaw before, but also my dad's like an old school off the boat from Sicily kind of guy. So he's the scariest person if he's angry, but the nicest human being in the world.
Nice.
And when he was angry, he used to do this thing, and it took a lot to get him angry. Like he's not those people. He would squeeze my ears if he got like really mad, and that was like the worst thing ever. And I don't know why that's like, I don't know if that's like an Italian thing, if that's an old school thing, but he would squeeze my ears, and it hurt.
That's pretty baller. That feels like a good thing. That's just enough, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you don't remember, but okay. And you said he was from Sicily?
Yes, he's from Sicily, like off the boat. So
got a big confession to make, right? I made this confession at TV this week to one of the elder statesmen there that needed to hear it, and I make it now. up until my trip to Saudi Arabia, I was on a lot of planes. Travel got all screwed up. I was in the air for a while. I had never seen the movie The Godfather. And I have now seen the movie The Godfather and Godfather Part 2 probably 3 or 4 times each, because jokingly, but not jokingly, it changed everything.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was walking into. And I always loved Marlon Brando and the history, no idea what the story was actually about. And nothing could have been more. Those are stories I live for.
Yeah.
Those stories. And just, it got me. It got me. And I have had to like tell everybody, like, I saw The Godfather. There's this great scene with Al Pacino, and he's telling the Don, I'm with you now.
Yeah.
Like when he makes the commitment to move into the family business, basically, I'm with you now. Like my family's not organized crime.
Right.
But we had a Don, you know, and that's I'm almost getting choked up thinking about it. That's like the hardest thing, is to take that role, or not even take that role, live up to while that person's still there. Just wild. But Godfather got me hard. I watched Part 3 too, but Godfather Part 1 and Part 2 hit him a lot. Hit him a lot.
So good. It's so good. Can't believe it took you that long to watch it, but I mean, you were busy wrestling and stuff, so that's kind of an excuse for it. You were a little busy, but yeah, that's a hard one. I've never seen Star Wars, so we're kind of even on shock value, because I know that you don't. Do you have any interest in seeing Star Wars? I have interest in it, sure. It took me a while to like even know the difference between like Star Wars and Star Trek, because it was like, I was like, oh, they're just movies about like space and like whatever. And then like I realized the characters are very different. It's completely different story. Yeah. And there's Star Trek
is for smart people talking about ethics.
Yeah.
This happens to be in space. It's a wonderful series. Patrick Stewart is amazing. Every captain, Cisco is my main captain, talking about real life issues in a space setting.
Right.
And then Star Wars is a father and son story. And it's also a granddaughter and grandfather. So it's very, if you decide to get into it, I'd recommend just watching the original trilogy. I love all of them.
Yeah.
Watch the original trilogy. The music usually hooks people right away. If it doesn't overcome you, it's not for you, but it typically does overcome people. There's a reason why it was so powerful. And it's not the fact that space are lightsabers or anything like that. It's the journey that is in those movies.
Wow. Well, I'll have to take a weekend and just like watch them all. I think I just have to binge it, like something.
So what happens is people get overwhelmed with the amount of Star Wars is out there.
Yeah.
Just watch A New Hope. Star Wars: A New Hope.
Okay.
You watch that movie and you're like, hey, I want to watch more. Great. If you watch it and you're like, not for me, move on. You know, like, because now there's Disney Plus, there's 50 shows.
There's a lot
to keep up. Yeah.
It's a lot. I also know I've seen Spaceballs so many times. I know it by heart. So I feel like that kind of counts for something.
So I saw Spaceballs before I saw Star Wars, and it worked just fine. And even though it's a parody, and you're going to find that's what that's about. Oh, that's what that's about. You'll love it. If you like Spaceballs, you'll like Star Wars. Spaceballs is outstanding.
It's one of the greatest films of all time. I quote it all the time, and Pizza the Hut is probably one of my favorite characters ever.
Pizza.
I could eat pizza every single day of my life and be happy. If that was something that was healthy, I would do it. And I'm in New Jersey, best pizza in the world. I don't know if you know that, but I don't know how the pizza.
We've been told that pizza in New Jersey and New York is the best in the world, and I don't dispute it. Seems like you guys have the market on pizza. Here in the South, the best pizza is mellow mushroom. I don't know if you like mellow mushroom.
I don't know.
Spring water dough. Which gives it a different taste than any of the chain pizzas. And now mellows are all around the country, but that's kind of our pizza here in the South is mellow mushroom.
I don't like mushrooms.
Well, there's no it's just the name of the place, but yeah, I mean, you can get some mushrooms, but yeah, mellow mushroom is the pizza of the South.
I'll have to try it if I ever go to the South. If I ever take a trip to the Nightmare Factory, I'll get mellow pizza first to show up at the Nightmare Factory to hang out with you and, teach your students there about tanning. I think that might have to be a thing.
You talking into the kids about tanning sounds it sounds like it's crazy. It's not. We've had an HR guest speaker. We've had a financial guest speaker. I like best speakers to really, like, one day John Cena walks in, it's amazing, and the kids lose their mind, and you're in there with the GOAT.
Yeah.
And he's going to give you his time. And then the next day, it's the HR lady, and it's still just as I don't let them know who's coming. It's just as informative. You need all these tools if you're going to do this gig. It's crazy.
So I could teach about, listen, I'm open to talk about tanning, and then I'll get in the ring and pretend like I know what I'm doing, take a lesson or something. I was in the ring one time, Cody. I don't know.
How'd it go?
I took a bump. Like, I just learned how to take a bump. It took me like 30 minutes to do it correctly. Yeah. And it opened my eyes to, like, listen, I was an athlete my whole life. I played soccer my whole life, basketball. I was like, I could do it. You know, I'm an athlete.
Yeah.
Like, it was the hardest thing I've ever done. And I don't think people realize that it's so mental too. Like, even just taking a bump to, like, tell your brain, like, you're going to fall backwards and trust to land here, as opposed to, like, your body wants to stop yourself from falling or hitting in a certain way. And the pain that I felt in places I didn't know existed in my body the next day, I was like, how do you people do this?
Yeah.
Every day. And I was there for an hour. Like, this is people's lives. It's just, I had so much more respect for it after that. Like, as you know, I didn't know about pro wrestling till 6 years ago is when I really started watching and getting into it. So I just think what you guys do is the hardest thing in the world, because not only are you wrestling, if your athleticism is phenomenal, you have to be in front of a live crowd, play up to the audience, you know, be who you are. And it's crazy to me. To me, it's like an impossible thing. And so many of you guys are so good at it. So I have so much respect for you.
I always tell everybody, everything hurts at the beginning. Everything hurts at the beginning, really, from hitting the ropes and learning how to do it. And those first bumps, everything hurts at the beginning, but I don't know. You build up a callus for it, or you start, a lot of people break it up in their mind. I need to do this, this, and this to make this work. And one thing I always try to teach people, the Armstrongs were like this too, because they would train at the beach, is you just got to keep throwing people around. Here, run at me, hip toss into the water. Run at me, hip toss in the water. You just got to keep doing it, and then you'll find it. You'll find the groove. Like, it's you just got to keep it up. It's very difficult, no doubt. It's not something that everybody can do. And this day and age, it's gotten even more athletic in terms of some of the high flying and the acrobatic elements of it. It's truly it's special.
So let me ask you this. Because this is something I wonder. If your daughter found interest in pro wrestling, obviously, you know, she watches you, she's growing up in it. Is that something you would want her to pursue? Or would you almost be like, let's hold off and wait until you're older to see if you really want to commit to it? Is that like something you would even push for? Or do you just kind of want to see how it goes?
I think it's one of those, maybe cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah.
If we get there. But I can't say that it's one thing when I'm talking about Liberty and I'm thinking about her. It's another thing if you were just like, if it was hypothetical, hey, your son or daughter wants to get into the industry, I would, of course, say, go for it. It's the greatest thing ever. For me, I've had, again, we talked about it at the very beginning, I've had such a charmed life and been so blessed. I was just in Germany, with almost 12,000 people attached to this match I'm having and what's going on, and knowing, and just, especially now with the business becoming as popular as it's cooking up to be, I couldn't with a straight face be like, no, you don't want to try that. I think if anything, though, I'd have to look at it from the perspective that my dad did. My dad knew that because of his presence in the industry, that they really wouldn't accept anything less than the best. And I wasn't the best. And I wasn't the best in year 5. And I wasn't the best in year 10. I really didn't pick up until recently in my career. And now I feel good about that. But that if you're gonna do it, you really should do it to be the best. None of this, oh, I just want to have a good time. None of this, everybody gets a medal stuff that I'm gonna have to eventually get hip to because the world is changing. But you really have to have a competitive drive. I was talking to somebody about working at WWE the other day, and it's really for people who just live and breathe it and want it. The only thing I love more than sports entertainment and pro wrestling is my family, is Brandy and Liberty. Everything else, number two is the game, is what we're in, and you have to be like that to continue to move forward with it.
I mean, you just mentioned your dad, Dusty, and I will say, like, I'm a newer fan of pro wrestling, right? Like, I said, it's going to be 6 years coming up. So, I did my research. I looked into the history, especially with the fact that Survivor War Games is coming up, and War Games is something that your father created. So let's talk a little about that, because, heading into Survivor Series War Games after Adam Pearce made that screaming announcement at Raw on Monday night, which I thought was awesome. How meaningful is it for you to be, I believe it's your first War Games. So like how heading into it, like, what's your mindset, and how meaningful is it for you with your family to be a part of War Games Survivor Series?
I'd give him his props. You mentioned Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce is outstanding as the general manager for Monday Night Raw, and I feel Nick Aldis on SmackDown will also excel in that role. But I told Adam when I saw just him on the mic that was powerful.
Yes,
and you had to follow Regal's footsteps in announcing War Games. It's my first real War Games, but I've had a million War Games matches in my head, in the car when we were going over teams, who would be on my team. And there was a moment after he said the words where we're all looking tough and mean mugging and staring at each other and half blown up. And then I couldn't help but smile. I really couldn't, because this run from WrestleMania when I came back in Dallas to right now, through WrestleMania 39 in Hollywood to right now, has been just, I don't know the word to describe it, but I don't even want to say the word because I don't want to jinx it. I don't want it to end. Every week is more signs in the crowd, more noise, more this, more that, and just grew up wanting that. And going into the War Games, I'll have to, I'm such an old school fan of it. And, it was, my dad drew it on a cocktail napkin, and then they gave it to the guy. And it really all stemmed from the fact that they just wanted to lower the cage because they were tired of waiting 30 minutes at these house shows for the local crew to set the cage up and then not even sure if they got it right. But War Games happens. I have to look at some of the modern War Games as well, because Triple H brought War Games back and, took it from Dusty, and then he put his own spin on it without the roof and with the cages on the outside for the teams. He put his own spin on it. So I don't want to be the guy who's going in with all the old school, we're going to run the ball right up the middle, when it's actually, a passing and play action type game. So I'm going to look at both, because it's fun that it's a combination of what Dusty created, what him and the Four Horsemen made iconic, but also what Triple H turned and tweaked to keep it in the modern wrestling canon.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm super excited to watch it. And these teams are stacked up, in my opinion. It's you, Seth, Jay, and Sami Zayn, which, that's a dream team for anybody to be going into a War Games with it this year. I would suspect. Like, how confident do you feel in your team? Obviously, you've been working with Jay a lot, and that's your boy. You kind of went viral with when you guys were champions. It was my favorite thing. But, how confident are you? And like, what going into War Game, like, what do you think is the biggest challenge in that kind of a match?
You mentioned a dream team. I never thought I was going to tag with Jey Uso. And even when we were walking to the ring in Indianapolis for Fastlane, was that Fastlane? Yeah, we're walking out there, And I didn't know what was happening. And then after the 1, 2, 3 and being champs with him, the first time he's been champs with somebody other than his brother, he became one of my favorite allies, one of my favorite partners ever. And I've had tons of partners, but the fact that he's chipping away at main event Jey Uso, becoming himself. You see the crowd doing it with him, and you see the shirts and everything. The fact that I have him there and we're able to compete with each other and compete against each other, I really like Jey Uso. I'm looking forward to Monday. I know this airs before Monday, right?
Yes.
I'm looking forward to Monday to recreating. We had lightning in a bottle in Indianapolis, and yeah, the press conference went off the rails a little bit because maybe we had a little too much fun. But I'm looking to have the same amount of fun in DC. That's one of my favorite arenas, Capital One Arena. It's a very special place to me, and to be able to repeat with him again would be special. And going into the War Games, kind of to get back to your question, I think it's all about who starts the War Games.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. It's not unlike a lot of different team sports here. It's who starts that War Games, and is your plan. And I hate saying it, but Mr. Heyman and the Bloodline, if you look at 1992's War Games, his plan of how they would layer, Bobby Eaton, stunning Steve Austin, Larry Zbyszko, how they would layer them, because the truth is there is going to be a weak link in every team. You may not know your weak link. You may not want to admit you're the weak link. Hell, I might be the weak link, but you have to look at it and say, all right, we're going to protect this guy, but we know such and such is going to come in there and clean house. So it's really in how you layer those entries to the War Games.
That's an interesting way to look into it, is kind of, because I don't even think about it that way, because I see you all as these like powerhouses going in, but that's a good way to think that you're only as strong as your weakest link. Isn't that like what they say about?
And I again, it might be me. Jay and Sami Zayn have War Games experience. I can say, oh, hey, my dad came up with the match. I'm sure there'll be a beautiful tribute to him in regards to that, but I've never been in it.
Yeah.
I've never been in it. So, those two are probably gonna have to show me the way. And then Seth Rollins, who him and I absolutely don't love each other. I don't know. I don't have any heat with him, but that's always a tricky situation with Seth. But judging from the main event he just put on for Monday, he's up to any challenge. He really is. I think the challenge will be, can him and I work together? But we'll see.
Going to be interesting. I'm super excited to watch it. And I have to ask, because, that poster came out, like we said, and it was awesome. Like, are you going to rock any special gear for War Games, or do we have to wait? Or can you give us like some kind of cool insight on that? Because
I think as far as gear goes, I kind of let Sandra just does her thing now.
Yeah.
We've grown so much that the American Nightmare aspect of it has, like, we have like brand guidelines now. Hey, the shoulder scales have to be there. She's got this list of things that she knows she's got to hit, but then she has a lot of fun. I believe she probably will do something linked to the poster. I don't know if we're painting up camo wise our faces, just because I'm still have terrible PTSD over when I used to paint my face. But I'd like to see our team kind of do something cohesive. That would be fun, even if it's in our own way, cohesive. But we'll see. We might show up looking dramatically different, whereas the Judgment Day is a fully functioning group of friends. They are legit friends, which is crazy. So we've got our work cut out.
He's not really a friend yet. So they're working with their fourth guy who's kind of trying to earn his way in. And I don't know how much they believe in him. So he might be the weak link on their team.
What's your take on JD?
He's kind of like that guy in the guy group that like they bring around because he's like, he'll do whatever they want, but they don't really like him, like that's how I see him. Like, yeah, he'll do the dirty work. He'll come in and like, we could always call on him if we want a 2 a.m. run to like Wawa and we want a sandwich. He'll go do it while we're drinking and having a good time. But like, he's not the guy that like the first call that you make when you're like throwing a party. He just kind of shows up because he's trying to prove himself.
The Freebirds had Buddy Roberts, who was similar in his role in the Freebirds. But I'd say there's a lot of power in that position. As somebody who was the guy who would go to Wawa to get Randy Orton a sandwich when I was in Legacy, as somebody who, when we were part of the Bullet Club, there were those, I don't know what do you want to call them, underbosses who would do some of the work for you and things of that nature. There's a lot of power in that position. You're learning, you're present, and when you can be helpful, really you can earn your place. The reason I ask about JD is because he's been one of the most impressive call-ups I feel from NXT, and I really wasn't expecting it. I didn't have low expectations, I didn't have high expectations, but that's potentially a big time player moving forward. Again, could care less about him personally. His head's giant. I mentioned the Funko Pop thing. No doubt it's far beyond the size of his body, but probably going to be a big time player for WWE at some point. Just really, I'd say if you ask Judgment Day, they'd say he's rose to the occasion.
It's interesting. It's sad he's on the wrong side of, good and bad in the WWE, in my opinion. He could have really learned from a different way, depending on the other people he was wanting to wrestle with, aside from the Judgment Day, but he's made his choice now. So we're going to have to see. And you saying that there's kind of like the power in being that fourth person, you're 100% right. Because people counting you out, it's the best when you're like undermined, because no one expects that from you. So when you prove yourself and you do kind of shock people, it's way better of a feeling because no one is expecting anything of you. It's kind of like, I'll make it about myself. It's kind of like me at this point. Like I'm kind of, finding my way. You get laid off, and I talk to a lot of people that get released or like laid off, and it's like a terrible time when it happens and you're at this low point, but scratching your way to the top and proving yourself is kind of the best feeling that there is. That's really the dream. That's the beautiful story. If you're going to get into it, he'll be that guy that comes out on top and no one expected it.
You bet on yourself here, Gabby. Who are you looking at podcast wise that you like, that you're thinking you want to be similar, or you like how their brand's built? Who are you looking at?
So that's an interesting question, because I feel like I kind of take pieces of a lot of people because I like what a lot of people do, and I respect so many people in the podcast game. I can't even talk about podcasting without mentioning Dave, because he is such a huge part of my life, and he was the one who ignited my love for pro wrestling, just working on that show and working with him. And I call him my mentor till the day I die, no matter where this takes me, because he has the ability to let you speak and be a part of a show or not. And he wants other people to be successful. Since it happened, I've got nothing but love and support from him. Nothing but like, oh, I listened to last week. I like that you did this. Like, to listen and call me and give me kind of points and stuff is just something that's amazing.
Real.
Yeah, it's real. And he's one of my best friends. And
that's a good sign of a good wrestler, is if they want other people to succeed.
Yeah.
There's a famous Sting quote, I think, where he was telling somebody, hey, they want you to do well, but not that well.
Yeah.
And then you find those people that, and I feel like at my age, with no bitterness in my heart about anything that's happened, good or bad, I feel the same way about if you're cooking, if you're moving up, go for it.
Yeah.
Keep going, like I'm not going to be a hater on it. Keep going, go forward. Do you like Chris Van Vliet?
I do. I actually know him. I think he's amazing. And I think the way he interviews is one thing that I actually was studying a little bit before I started podcasting, because he's a phenomenal interviewer and he's a very, very nice guy.
I like him, but he rides hard for some of his homies. You got to be his homie. I hope I'm his homie, because if you're his buddy, he rides hard for you. And that's the thing. And you'll find this out. If not, you've already found it out. With great power, Gabby, you got great responsibility. So here you are, you're talking about Damian Priest and how you are, people might listen to that and make their decision. You're going to be one of their guides through this sports entertainment, pro wrestling world. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of surreal for me to even be where I am talking pro wrestling, because like I say this all the time, I watch it as a newer fan, and I'm younger than a lot of people that talk about pro wrestling. I don't pretend to know like that match from 89 and I still am learning a lot about the history of pro wrestling, but I have such a respect for pro wrestling and my love for it's so real and like raw. I think because of that, my perspective is so different than a lot of people that are talking about pro wrestling. And it's why I'm so blessed to make friends in the business like yourself, like the people that I get to talk to, because I think it shows that I'm not just here to be like, oh, like you're my guy now. So you're my homie. So I'll ride for you. So, Chris Van Vliet, that's great. But like Gabby LaSpisa has your back. And you don't want anybody to mess with me when it comes to you now. So
absolutely.
be even more.
The master of the tan.
Listen, tan's not even that great right now because I've been trying to like hold off because it is like getting cold, but it's my birthday this month. I got to make sure it stays even. You know what I mean?
Birthday month. What's the sign on that?
I'm a Sagittarius.
Okay. So me and Brandy are both Cancers, and then Liberty is a Gemini. She was born the week before us. We're June 18th, 23rd, and 30th. It's wild. All the birthdays are right there. It's crazy. I don't know how any of that works, but
me either. I was going to ask you if you know anything about horoscopes or anything like that. I'm not really.
No, Libby has a hyper. She shares Brandy's firmness and logical behavior with my hypersensitivity. So I don't know if that's Gemini or if that's just genetics, but it's fun to watch her go real up and real down throughout the course of the day. It's interesting.
I love that. And you mentioned Brandy a lot, and I've never had the pleasure of like meeting Brandy, but
yeah,
something that, I really admire about you is how you juggle, being such a family man and an amazing father and and husband to your wife. And while you're, this huge mega superstar with the WWE. So how do you do that? Because I feel like you're like Superman when it comes to that. Like some people say being a father is the hardest job in the world, and they're also not juggling the travel of being a superstar and doing all the things that you do and being there for millions of fans that love you. How, is that a struggle for you? What's the balance that you deal with to juggle that?
It's definitely not a struggle. Now, we only have, one child, and she's only 2.5, so we're learning as we go. But I think the best way, you mentioned, I talk about my wife a lot, and one of the reasons is because this old passe dated, you're around the entertainment space. You've heard this expression before, appear single, and that was an old wrestler thing about, oh, the girls will come to the shows and, you don't want them knowing about your family. And I feel like in 2023, complete opposite. Complete opposite. And at least I'm going to be the complete opposite. If you make that choice to commit to somebody for the rest of your life, then you make that choice. And that's why it's got to be the right person and the right partner. And Brandy's been a friend. She's been everything to me, but she's also been the best partner possible. I give her credit, and I always have to do it in a vague way, but I wouldn't be sitting here. Wouldn't have been able to come back at WrestleMania if not for her. And she did so many things in sports entertainment and pro wrestling that she will not get credit for, that will not be remembered. We're talking about initiatives. We're talking about people who she hired that are still rocking at a very high level. People who she helped out before they ran into some disciplinary issues. I mean, all kinds of things she did for our world. And it's a shame that it's not been remembered how I thought. But again, no bitterness in my heart. I am here to beat the drum all day long. I am on the importance of Brandy. And kind of skipping forward to your question, balancing, it's not balancing because it's such a treat. Like, yes, I come home, I usually land around 6 a.m. on Tuesdays, 6 or 7 a.m. I drive all the way from Atlanta back to our neighborhood, which is far out in the suburbs. And that's right around the time that Libby is getting up. Normally, I would go right to sleep. I'd rest up. I'd start doing the things to go back on the road again. But you want to be in that room when she wakes up. You want to have the coffee ready and be on the drive to school. And to me, it doesn't feel like balance. Selfishly, and this is not, Libby's far more important than this, but selfishly, she's also made me the best wrestler I've ever been, because now it ain't on me. Now, again, sorry, I have to report back. Like, I have to, and it's not easy. but it's a great challenge, really a great challenge. I had such a love for my parents, and they did it right. That you want the same thing from them, and you want to guide them, and you don't just want to guide them. It's your job to guide them. And yeah, so it's not a balance as much as it's just it has to happen. You have to be there as the best dad in the world, and then when you go to Mondays and you throw your boots on and put the robe on and the pyro blows up, you have to be the best wrestler in the world. They go hand in hand in a weird way for me.
Wow. And then I know we have to wrap up soon. You've been amazing and given me so much time, and I could talk to you for hours, but you're probably much busier than me today.
Are we busy, Steve? Average day.
See, all right, Steve, I appreciate it. Steve's my new bestie. So
Steve's the guy, man. Steve's the man.
Steve's my new best friend. It was just estimated that you were the #1 seller for the merch from the year of 2023, which is by itself pretty incredible. And, Brandy tweeted out something in support where she said, I remember when this was a dream in like 2013, and she's always supporting you. Like, just the support that you guys have for each other, and, the fact that you're living out that dream now and all these things are happening is such a beautiful thing. And you're probably, to me, one of the nicest people in the business that I've ever come in contact with. And that's not me being like, oh, thanks for being on my show, I think you're nice. Like, I don't think people realize you did not have to sit down with me today. You didn't have to talk to me, and you did, because that's how good of a person you are. You've always been super kind to me. And, I can't not ask, because of the support and the relationship you have with Brandy through everything, like, what should I be looking for in a significant other? Because you,
oh wow, that question went somewhere else.
Yeah, that's what I do. Because listen, I'm single. I'm 31 years old, and why am I doing it wrong? How did you know she was the one? And is that what I should be looking for? I curved you on that.
I mean, there's probably a myriad of answers I could give, all just, exemplary and compliments and flowers. But really, I think the answer is to find someone that makes you want to be a better person. We're selfish creatures naturally. We're not in someone else's head. We're in our own head, our own feelings, our own thoughts. But when you find someone that the darkest side of you, and we all have that capacity for both, you want extinguished, you want to make only the right decisions, I think that's usually a good indicator. And then the other piece of it is, when the car is out of gas, is this the person who will get out and push? It's not really a secret, but I have a big team around me, including Steve over there. I have a big team around me, and some people are annoyed by that. They don't love that I have an agent, a lawyer, a publicist. I'm just a wrestler. Why do you have all these things? They don't love that the studio is here and all that. But the reality of it is these were all people that pushed the car when it was out of gas. And I think that's when you find someone who will be there for you like that, that's special. That's really, everyone's cool when you're popping champagne and, winning tag titles and having libations and things of that nature. Everyone's cool. But when you're at a low, and this business, the wrestling and sports entertainment business, provides some unbelievable lows. But as long as you got those people around you who keep moving forward and finding that one, in addition to not being an Eagles fan,
yes,
I think it'll come to you. I wouldn't worry about it. Let it come to you.
Yeah, I don't worry about it. It's just, I get the questions a lot. You know what I mean? My mom's like, what are you doing? What's going on? Are you dating? And I'm like, no, Mom, my life is pro wrestling, kind of takes precedent, and then I meet these guys out and they don't understand pro wrestling lingo. And then they're kind of out too, because I go out and talk and use pro wrestling slang now because I can't help myself, and people don't know what I'm talking about. So
you might need to date a wrestler then.
Oh, that's what I've been told not to do by everyone.
Yeah, no, I was told the same thing. Don't date someone you work with. And we've been married over 10 years, and
all right,
my best friend. So I can't give that advice. I've heard it when it's like, don't date a wrestler. I've heard it. But There's some good catches out there, I
Put it
think.
in the group chat, Cody. See what happens. You know what I mean? You never know. Just kidding.
If I put it in the group chat, the one who will bite will not be one you're interested in. But I'm gonna put it in the group chat just to see if they bite.
I don't think I even want to know who it is, but they might already be in my DMs because it gets weird in those areas.
It does. It's a weird spot. I was thinking about this in the car the other day, as far as Teal essentially raised me, and I don't realize it. My mom and my dad were there, no doubt, but my dad, he had a full-time, he was going to CNN Center when he was WCW executive producer. He was always on the move. He was always going, and I didn't want to bother him. And I had a good school and good foundation. My mom also full-time. She was a registered nurse. She was working. Teal, I forget, the thunder would start up and lightning and the trees were blowing, and I'd run down the hall and sleep on her floor at the foot of her bed. And I did that till I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
Teal's a huge part of my life. So
yeah, I'm a big fan. I've told you that I love Teal. She, we have fun back and forth on Twitter, but she knows she's my girl. And she said, I'm a real one. She's a real one. And I can tell. And that's why I like her so much. She could have been from Jersey. It would have been the same because she's got that swag and that kind of attitude. And that's why I really like her. So the Rhodes are all good in my book, I will say.
Yeah. All right. We'll take it.
Big fan. Pharaoh's my favorite, but
yeah, so I got word from, you mentioned merchandise.
Yeah.
That was really nice to see. I saw a lot of stories throughout the year promoting kind of false merchandise reports, and it never got under my skin because I knew what we were doing on the regular basis. But I kind of was thinking, I wonder if someone will set the record straight on any of this. And then the record set itself straight, and it was just a cool accolade, a really, like winning a title, like winning an award. It was just a really special accolade. And the team at Fanatics and WWE Shop, outstanding. This Monday at Capital One Arena for Monday Night Raw, they have the Pharaoh plush for the first time. So Pharaoh plush hits stands. He'll be in venue only, and then he will go live on Shop.
Oh my God. Bring Pharaoh back to Raw, please. When he came to
that one and he just fell asleep on the floor. So yeah, but Pharaoh's an old man now. I don't know if you watch my Instagram, he's just, him and Libby, that's what they do. They just hang. But he'll make it to a show again for sure.
Oh, I love him. Tell him I say hi, even though he doesn't know me. Just know he has a fan in me because I love him very much.
I will let him know.
But yeah, Cody, seriously, this was phenomenal just to sit down with you. Thank you so much for the time. And I do actually mean what I said, that you are one of truly the most kind-hearted, nicest human beings I've ever met in this business, probably in the world that I've come in contact with. And I appreciate you so much. You've always been so supportive. You've always been amazing to me. And I just cannot express how grateful I am to have had you on the show. And thank you so much for always, always being truly as kind and, amazing that you have been to me, because it means a lot. And not everybody's like that. And you don't have to be that way. And you are. And I'm blessed to have you in my life. So I appreciate you so much for being here.
I know you're trying to wrap up, and I won't stall any further, but I will say this. You said I don't have to be that way. And I heard Logan Paul also told me I didn't have to be a certain way. In my opinion, if you populate our world of sports entertainment and pro wrestling, I think you should be that way. I think because we're not as big a world as the NFL. We're not as big a world as Hollywood, the actual studios. We're not, but we're growing. And as you grow and become the most popular show on television and all that, everyone who populates our space. It's not unlike back in the day when guys were really hard about who could come in the locker room. I'm that way, but I do it with a smile on my face. I do it in a friendly way. And I think at some point you're going to be the gatekeeper for some individuals who want to get into the game. And the best thing you can do is open it up to them fully, let them make their own mistakes, try to explain to them the stove is hot, after they get burned, and just be a good guide to them. Because I had great guides, all of them, John Cena, Randy Orton, Triple H, my father, of course. I had great guides in the game, and I hope I can be one at some point too.
Well, you were kind of one for me. So when I'm huge, I'll be thanking Cody Rhodes. I'll be like, he was the one that believed in me always from the beginning. And then that could be, you're the gatekeeper for me. You also mentioned,
thank you.
Logan Paul. I can't even get into it because I'm kind of obsessed with what Logan Paul's doing right
How
now.
good is he, huh?
Dude, it's insane how good he is, and it's insane how much he pisses people off with how good he is, because he shouldn't be that good. And now he has like a title and he won, and people were so mad. And I'm like, this is so good for business because
there's some what I call pretend wrestlers in all companies all across the world. And I think he probably irritates them the most.
Yep.
Because brother is an absolutely stellar professional wrestler.
Yep.
Absolutely stellar. And he's the greatest rookie year of all time. Perhaps he is blazing forward. So I look forward to what he does.
Yeah, I got to get him on. I think me and him would have good conversation because of who he is. He's like my goal, but you know, he's Logan Paul. He's got whatever 30 million followers, something like that. That's what people don't understand, how he's pissing you off, but it's in the best way possible. So
go for it. My goal was to win the WWE championship and to be the president of the United States. I still try to get both of them.
Listen, your life's not over. Anything can happen, you know?
Exactly.
Well, Cody, thank you so much again for the time.
Thank you.
I've enjoyed it so much. I appreciate you. And hopefully we will see you win the tag titles back on Monday so that you're going to War Games with Jay as tag champions. And I can't wait to watch. So thank you so much.
Win the tag titles back Monday. Enjoy it. Celebrate. Go to the War Games. Win the War Games. And then after the War Games, heading to Tampa, a town that I love dearly, for the Royal Rumble. We're rolling. We're on our way. I'm
so excited. Royal Rumble is my favorite event of all time. So I'm really excited about it. But thank you so much, Cody, for the time. I love you. You're the best. And
thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. This has been Gabby AF. And of course, LYMNB. Until next time, love you most. No backs.
It's about to get Gabby AF.
We about to get Gabby AF, Gabby AF. We about to get Gabby AF, Gabby AF. It's nothing less, cause you rockin' with the best. Now we about to get Gabby AF.